Heather Slesser here with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension. Today I am joined with Joy Kirkpatrick from the Center for Dairy Profitability. Joy is going to talk with us about her fact sheet entitled Economic Injury Disaster Loans, or EIDL, now open to agriculture enterprises. How are you today, Joy?
I'm doing okay in this time of COVID.
What are economic injury disaster loans?
These are small business administration loans. So the Small Business Administration has traditionally given out disaster loans. A lot of times you might think about them during hurricanes or floods or tornadoes. But the CARES Act gave permission to the SBA and funding to modify their loan program so that it fits with those who are businesses that are affected by COVID-19. So the loans themselves could be up to $2 million. And the parts that I think people are most attracted to these loans is the part about the emergency grants so up to $10,000 can be given to businesses as an advance on their loan as sort of an emergency advance. So the first round of money from the CARES Act did not allow for agricultural enterprises to be able to apply, because usually SBA is for more like Main Street sort of small businesses sorts of things, and the Farm Service Agency and USDA is usually where we see the funding for farms. But on April 24th, a second round of funding was enacted into law, and that specifically said that these small business economic injury disaster loans would be available to farmers.
Who is eligible for the economic injury disaster loans?
Starting on May 4th, at 11 o'clock, the online application is open to those farm businesses now and to farm businesses only. So the one thing you have to keep in mind that they have to have fewer than 500 employees. And you don't necessarily have to have employees, so you can apply even if you're a sole proprietor and the only person working on the farm. So the eligibility is pretty open for most farms.
What can economic injury disaster loans be used for?
The loans can be used to cover payroll, fixed debts like mortgages, but you can't use that on federal debt. So if you think if you have an FSA loan, you have to be careful about using the money for paying for those, but other sorts of debts you can use. Your accounts payables, it can be used for that. It can be used for rent and some of the other operating expenses that you might have. So when you're thinking about this loan, a lot of times the Small Business Administration will say like your operating expenses over like the next 6 months might be what you're looking at for application. The loans can't be used for direct payments to owners, refinancing long-term debt, making an expansion in your facilities or in your business, or repairing physical damages.
Is there anything else you would like to add about the economic injury disaster loans that we haven't talked about so far?
The one thing that we have to make note is comparing this to some of the other programs people might be hearing about. This one you have to go directly to the Small Business Administration website and apply online. It's not something that you apply through your local or established lender. So going to the Small Business Administration website and looking for the COVID-19 disaster loan programs would be the best thing to do. You would need to have a basic idea of your expenses, or your gross income and your operating expenses, because that will be a part of the application questions. And you need to have your bank routing numbers so that those emergency advances can be direct deposited.
Thank you for joining us today and sharing this information about the economic injury disaster loan.